Greetings to you viewers from across the globe. You're welcome to the show, Viewpoint, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. I'm your host, Odiawa AI, for Veegil Media. You'll do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Veegil Media, and follow us across various social media platforms. Don't forget to download the Veegil app on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. You're welcome once again. On the show today, we will be talking about the wasteful expenditure, particularly by the Four Horsemen. And the Four Horsemen, I mean the men who are heading the main arms of government, particularly the chief executive and the legislature. Those are whom I mean by the Four Horsemen. But first off, we will commence with the headlines on the political scene making the rounds. First off, we have Nigeria's debt, which has actually hit 87.8 trillion by September 2023. Now, this is according to the Debt Management Office. The Debt Management Office said Nigeria's total public debt as at September 30, 2023 was 87.91 trillion or $114.35 billion. The Debt Management Office, in a statement on Wednesday, stated that the amount represented domestic and external debt of the federal government, the 36 states governments at the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Now, the debt office said that the debt stock represented a marginal increase of 0.61% when compared to the June 30th, 2023 figure of 87.38 trillion. Now, away from debt crisis, now on to defection matters. No going back to PDP, says cross-carpeting Rivers APC lawmakers. Now, as the political complexity in Rivers State continues to dominate discussions in the country, a member of the Rivers State House of Assembly who defected to the APC, the All Progressives Congress, from the PDP, Enemi George, has ruled out returning to the former party, explaining the resolve of the cross-carpeting members to remain with their new party. George, who was a guest on a televised talk show on Wednesday, said that 27 of them that moved to APC are committed to supporting the incumbent chief executive's renewed hope agenda. Now, might we recall that Rivers has been embroiled in political fisticuffs as a result of disagreement, particularly between the incumbent governor, Fubara, and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike. Now, the crack between both parties splits lawmakers in the House, with 27 of them decamping from the PDP to the ruling APC, a party whose central government Wike currently serves as minister. It actually degenerated to a level where the governor was actually served an impeachment notice and saw the demolition of the State House of Assembly complex and the Veegil resignation of the pro-Wike commissioners currently serving in the Fubara's cabinet. In any case, though, a resolution seemed to have been reached after the Tinubu had met with the warring factions on Monday. Now, still on defection matters, Niger State Assembly member dumps the SDP and defects to the APC. Now, a 7-member of the Niger State House of Assembly, Yakubu Abdulmalik Bala, has dumped the SDP, the Socialist Democratic Party, for the ruling APC, the All Progressives Congress. Now, the lawmaker who represents Kacha constituency defected on the floor of the House on Wednesday. The Speaker expressed joy at the lawmaker's decision to defect from the SDP to the ruling party. Now, again, still on defection matters, also former natural lawmaker Yimoga joins APC after ZLP exits. Now, ruling party APC appears to be gathering more disciples as Musa Salihu Yimoga, a former member of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, has officially joined the APC. The seasoned politician who represented the Doma North constituency in the 6th Assembly declared his allegiance to the APC in gathering of supporters and officials at his Sabongeri ward in Doma local government area of Nasarawa State. His decision follows his recent resignation from the Zenith Labour Party, the platform on which he was elected in the 2019 general elections. The former lawmaker sought re-election in the 2023 general elections but was defeated against the candidate of the PDP, Mohammed Oyanki. Now, away from cross-carpeting or defection or decamping matters, we have Akpabio. He actually has declared the Senate seats of Umahi and Gidam vacant. Now, Akpabio has declared vacant the seats of Senator Dave Umahi of Ebonyi South Senatorial District and Ibrahim Gidam of Yobe East Senatorial District following their assumption of office as ministers. Now, the Senate therefore asked the electoral umpire INEC to conduct a by-elections to fill vacant seats as soon as possible. Both Umahi and Gidam were both inaugurated as members of the 10th Assembly in June, but they resigned in August after the incumbent president, Tinubu, has appointed them as members of his cabinet. While Dave Umahi is Minister for Works, Gidam is the Minister for Police Affairs. Now, conversely, ex-governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, if you will recall, resigned lately as Labour Minister to return to the Senate after a court verdict affirmed him as a senator for Plateau South. Now, on a final note on the headlines making the rounds in the political space, the federal government has decided to slash public transport fare by 50%. Now, how effective or impactful will that be? Will it be on a negative or positive note? Now, that's another food for thought. So the federal government on Wednesday said it has slashed police transport fares for Nigerians by 50%. This was disclosed by Minister of Solid Minerals, Dele Alake, during a press briefing on the presidential intervention in public transportation to celebrate the Yuletide season in Abuja, the nation's capital. Now, according to Alake, the intervention will commence on Thursday, which is today, December the 21st, and end on the 4th of January, 2024. However, the minister said air travel was excluded from the initiative because the initiative is targeted at the masses. Now, my question is, can't the masses, or are the masses not eligible enough for flights via air transport? Now, that's just a deviation. He noted that the President, Bola Tinubu, approved of the gesture in the demonstration of his love for Nigerians, adding that the move allows Nigerians who want to travel to visit their loved ones and hometowns to do so without stress and the extra burden imposed by the high cost of transport around this period. Alake stated that the President has directed the police and various security agencies to work collaboratively to ensure the festive season is safe without any security breach in parts of the country. Join me in the next phase of the show. I'm Odiawa AI for Veegil Media, and the show is Viewpoints, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. You're welcome back to the show. The show is Viewpoints, and I'm Odiawa AI for Veegil Media. On the show today, we will be talking about the wasteful expenditure of the four horsemen. Now, who are the four horsemen here? The four horsemen I'm talking about are those seated in areas of government who are actually managing the affairs of government, and their approach towards reckless spending in the name of the budgetary allowances, which might not be necessary. Now, amid growing concerns of poverty plaguing Nigerians, the disdain and alarm being experienced across the nation over humongous sums of cash set aside for patently undeserving projects are most inappropriate, if I may put it that way. A lot of cash is being put down for the 2024 budget for those in the seat of government without regard for the adverse effects on of the public good or the masses. Take, for instance, SERAP's Social Economic and Accountability Project, a non-governmental organization based in Nigeria, has recently urged the Senate President of the Upper Chamber, Godswill Akpabio, to use his leadership position to promptly reject the plan by the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, to spend a staggering amount of 15 billion naira for the construction of a befitting residence for the Vice President, Kashim Shettima. Now, Serap stated that the Senate has the constitutional duty to guarantee that Mr. Wike's proposed spending is entirely consistent and compatible with the constitutional provisions, including his oath of office. Now, furthermore, the Senate should also assert its constitutional oversight functions to reject the 2.8 billion on publicity for the Federal Capital Territory Authority and other proposed wasteful ventures and unnecessary spending contained in the 2023 supplementary budget and the 2024 proposed budget by the president. Now, in the proposed budget, a scandalous sum of 15.961 billion has been allocated for internal and domestic travel expenses for Tinubu, Shettima, and their respective hordes of aides or ADCs at the presidential villa. Now, a breakdown of the amount shows that Tinubu's presidential or personal travel budget allowance is actually amounting to 7.630 billion naira, predominantly earmarked for foreign trips with 6.992 billion, specifically set aside for international travels, and 638.535 million naira set aside for domestic travels. Now, my question is, with the slash now by 50%, I think part of those figures should be enough to go around the 36 states to accommodate the flight tickets, which the masses have actually been excluded from. Now, in the same vein, Vice President Shettima's travel allowances amounts to 1.847 billion naira, split between 1.229 billion for foreign trips and 618.399 million for local expenditure. Now, also, the 2024 budget has allocated 40.616 billion naira to the presidential villa headquarters for Kashim Shettima, with a substantial portion of 6.484 billion naira allocated to the villa quarters for international and local travels. Now, this is just a spendthrift spree, let me put it that way, which is uncalled for. It therefore means that priorities are not even taken into cognizance when it comes to administering this administration. Now, the sum of 3 billion naira has also been allocated in the budget for the construction of offices for special advisors and senior special advisors. This amounts to pillage in wastage, if I may put it that way. Now, another 3 billion naira has been set aside for the acquisition, rehabilitation, and furnishing of the State House Annex. Notably, an extra 6 billion has been allocated for operational vehicles, with an additional 4 billion for operational vehicles and extra 2 billion specifically earmarked for special utility vehicles, the SUVs. Might we recall, there was this issue of, which we'll also be talking about later on as we progress in the show, 160 million budgeted for each senator for their SUVs. I mean, it's unwholesome or outrageous. And the excuse which was actually given was that the roads are bad. Now, which should take utmost priority? Fixing of the road or purchase of 160 million naira worth of SUVs, when merged together, comes to about 576 billion naira, which is enough to even fix roads in various constituencies. Now, not to digress and still be on track, for President Tinubu's Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, now he is expected to get a total of 21 billion in next year's budget. The sum will be spent renovating the presidential quarters in Dodam Barracks in Lagos, the Vice President's lodge in Lagos, also to overhaul the information management and communication facilities in the presidency to meet modern standards and to provide vehicles for the staff of the presidency. Now, meanwhile, another helmsman in the horse race amongst the four horsemen is Akpabio. Akpabio was on a birthday jamboree on the 9th of December. Fine, it's good to mark your birthday, no doubt about that, but not in a situation whereby the nation is plagued with financial crisis. Now, on the 9th of December 2023, he threw a lavish party to mark his 61st birthday. Fine, he has added another year. It's a blessing. With huge donations of 150 million naira by different senators at the party. Now, this is just a birthday gift, yet still, people are mining in various areas. People are mining on empty stomachs in illegal mines out there and are practically not being able to fend for 3 square meals or even basic necessities of life, maybe a roof over their heads, clothing, or even feeding, which I've just mentioned. Now, frankly speaking, this is a grave betrayal of public trust, that a nation plagued with internal crisis, debt, and running a deficit should dole out scandalous sums of money for the benefit and comfort of these four horsemen I have just mentioned. Now, on a jocular note, Those four horsemen, or these four horsemen, are really showing workings, or do I say that they show doings, as they said in local parlance in my country. Now, the proposed expenditure, in my own opinion, that this administration does not have the interest of the suffering Nigerians at heart. Instead of budgeting to provide Nigerian children the much reiterated or restated quality education and improved healthcare sector, most popularly the energy sector, where the first language a newborn baby will actually learn is up NEPA. Why? Because light is actually deficient. Energy is deficient. Now, the government is budgeting weighty sums of money for the personal benefits of its principal office holders. This actually depicts the government as insensitive to the plight of suffering Nigerians, like I began by saying in this paragraph. Public office holders took oath of office actually to serve the people and give back to the country what the nation has actually provided them with. But another question is, these people in office, did the country actually provide for them, or it's a case of it's their turn to actually go with the same trend or cycle? But sadly, they are actually sucking the nation dry with massive pipes. As a destitute nation in deficit or running on a deficit financial plan, it does not make sense to squander a scandalous sum of 15 billion for the construction of a befitting residence. Again, a country where many cannot afford to feed, like I began by saying, three times a day. Now, I'm not talking about having a 4-course meal where you have your dessert or maybe you have an appetizer. Just 3 times a day to feed. That's what we're talking about. Why does the vice president need a new residence when the official residence is still in functional existence? Why set aside a staggering sum of 10 billion naira, which can be used to build capital projects for the renovation of the residence of the government officials? Now, this is food for thought, like I always say, and there's need to wine and dine about it in our brain. Now, it's shameful that many public office holders who took the oath of office to serve the citizens are amassing wealth from meager resources of the country at the expense of the citizenry. Now, before now, members of the National Assembly went ahead to purchase luxurious vehicles, which I mentioned earlier on, close to 160 million naira, which is, I would say, totally absurd. Now, the same members of the National Assembly are poised to approve scandalous sums of cash for the well-being of a few public office holders. Now, how can a country borrow money to fund a deficit budget? Well, I can only say the patience of Nigerians is being tested once again. It was tested in 2020. It was tested initially when 2023 began over the Naira scarcity cash, which is trying to find its ugly head, or making, this Naira scarcity is currently trying to find its way or raise its ugly head once again. I will only say that this is actually the politicians pushing the Nigerians to the wall by testing their patience once again, because it is disturbing that citizens who ought to ideally be the foundation of a flourishing society find themselves grappling through a landscape which is actually marred by adversity and reckless expenditure. The citizens on their own part have become cynical about the administration's ability to address their needs and provide basic public services. It's a case of when they see ugly occurrences or incidents happening, "Ego better" becomes the usual mantra, which is quite sad. Now, might I suggest, before I draw the curtain on today's show, that there's need to mitigate the consequences of extravagant wasteful expenditure. Prudent financial planning can only make sense if they contribute to the overall well-being and contentment of the people. Nation's greatness is measured not only by its economic or political prowess, but also by the well-being and contentment of its people. Don't show up on TV and make empty promises in the name of your manifesto, issuing out palliatives or certain figures which are to be credited. Why? Because there's existence of a BVN and an NIN. Arm the citizens with a hook to fetch fish. Don't just arm them with a hook to fetch fish. Also teach them how to use that hook to fetch fish. Don't just feed the citizens with fish, much more. Whenever I even dole out the fish, you just give us fishes which are plagued with bones and absent with flesh. I'm Odiawa AI for Veegil Media, and the show has been Viewpoints, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. You do well to follow us across various social media platforms and subscribe to this YouTube channel Veegil Media and download the Veegil app on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.